Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Feeding Curiosity. I'm your host, Eric Wenzel, as always. In today's podcast, we are joined by James Calmese Jr. He is a Western Illinois graduate who works in financing and shipping. He is the founder of the Good Vibes MI Edition, a live entertainment entity involved in the underground music scene and the early stages of the music business process and sports, and that is where his passion lies and where most of our conversation takes place. His artists have amassed over 15,000 streams and more, working behind the scenes with artist partners to JoeL Stevenson, Khamarry, AyeBee, and Lil Sizzerr, also as a talent buyer and promoter, just to name a few of the artists he's worked with or promoted. And you can reach out to James on any and all of his socials, and I'll have a link in the show notes for those interested. In this conversation, we cover how James thinks about finding artists and how to get them on stage, what habits or easy actions upcoming artists can take to start building a dedicated audience who are all in on making music their dedicated career. Outside of the music sphere, we talk about more general advice on building skills when you are building something that is your passion. We close with ideas on betting on yourself and why it's meaningful intrinsically, but also what it means to lead by example for future generations. And as always, much more than what I can summarize here. And so without further ado, please enjoy this conversation with James Calmese Jr. All right, James, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so
Hey.
much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, dude, this is awesome. I mean, it's always been like a pleasure for me to like have friends that I meet, especially because Jordan, and Jordan, I've known Jordan for 20 years. So it's
Oh,
a
dang.
long friendship, and it's just even more fun that I get to meet other people that he gets connected to and just have cool conversations. So with that, go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about what your background is and what do you do? I mean, you're already wearing your hoodie, so that's kind of a
Yeah.
giveaway.
All right. So, my personal brand is just James. But I run an entertainment company called Good Vibes My Edition. I was like, back to the personal side, I do artist management. I manage a UGC creator, user generated content creator. I do a lot of the back end stuff like that. Uh, and then for the Good Vibes, I host concerts. I find new music. I run a YouTube channel called Good Vibes Radio, and I run my own podcast. Thanks to you, you were a big help in getting that started. Um, but I also, I'll sit down with artists and other people in the industry, on the underground side and try to just elevate and share knowledge. And then, for my professional life, because this is all like still, it's a side hustle level. So in a personal life, I'm in banking and then, I work at UPS. So 2 jobs.
Gotcha. Man,
Yeah.
you're just grinding away on all fronts on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's
I
I
stay
mean,
busy.
yeah, I mean, I get it. Trust me. We were just talking before we hit record about all the other things I'm doing in my life, so I
Yeah.
get it. Um, so kind of just rewinding a clock a little bit. What what did you like? What was it like for school? Like, what did you think you were going to be doing? And like, what was it? You obviously you went to college and that kind of stuff, but just curious, like, how did you end up falling into the side hustles that you got into?
Okay, so school was, like, challenging for me a little
Hmm.
bit, like, cause it was most stints, like, cause looking back, I was kinda sheltered, like, in a sense, so when I got to college, I was, like, free will, like, so, um,
First time
but
off to the races to do whatever you wanted.
yeah, yeah, so, um, col it took a little bit, but, in college, I found who I was, and then, I'd always my dad's a DJ, so music had, like, been in my life the entire time. And my dad had even, like, put on concerts, and that's more than, like, going to DJ at the local bar. So my dad
Mm,
had concerts with, like, T-Pain, and then there were just other concerts in that area, and I just saw this, like, need for entertainment with hip hop because I live in a predominantly white area, so, you get a lot of rock shows, you get, EDM DJs but when you go out, all you hear is really hip hop. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got your few country pop bangers that they play, but you hear a lot of hip hop and you hear a lot of people screaming hip hop and singing along. So it was like, why aren't we bringing this live entertainment here? I quickly like found out why they don't do that, but they just it's like a negative notion that they have associated with it. But I'm thankful that Good Vibes, my brand, like we have never suffered from any negative interaction publicly or anything like that.
Hmm.
So I started my personal music career. I was an artist, and that's how I met Jordan. Um, I met him and DJ Love, and they kind of took me under their wing and helped shape me along with some other guys. So I started out as an artist, but like the business side was like the most appealing to me. Like, but and then it was like, how do I? Why is the business side appealing? Things like that. So it's like I went to college for finance. Growing
Okay.
up, didn't have a lot of money, and when I did have like when we did have money, we weren't smart with the money. So it's like I want to understand money. I got into finance to understand money, and since getting that knowledge, it's been very different. I live a very different lifestyle, and I'm grateful that my daughter will live a very different lifestyle because of the knowledge and the discipline. That kind of led me to be more into the details, because at first it was like I'm gonna do accounting, and then it was like, nah, I ain't doing accounting. So I went into the finance area, and it was like, okay, so it's attention to detail. And then I
Hmm.
got into banking. So in banking, like I really wanted to help people. Like my goal is to just help people. Banking is tricky, but I'm there to help them understand because a lot of people don't understand their credit. A lot of people don't
Hmm.
understand why they can or cannot get a loan. They just know if they're approved or denied. So, but yeah, that the college, the shift into the side hustle was like I had uh went over a quote came across me while I was in school, and it was like I can't remember what interview it was, but he had said like you work your 9 to 5, and from 5 to 9, you work on your side job. And for me, that's a little different because, I work, 8 to 5, and then from 5 to 10, I go to my other job. And then so from 10 to like 1, I work on my passions. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the weekends is where it's like, okay, I can double down on that a little bit.
I get it. I mean, I've been doing this since. I mean, actually, uh, like, so February 9th, I crossed the 5-year mark of doing this podcast. And
Congratulations.
thank you. I mean, it's wild to say that. I mean, I started this as I was wrapping up my college career, and
Yeah.
then I was like, well, I guess this is the new college career. I
Yeah.
remember similar to like your idea of like you hear a quote of like, you know, what do you do after work kind of thing.
Mm.
Um, and I remember listening to so Tim Ferriss is a huge influence on me, and one of the things he always said was like, "What's your real life MBA?" And part of it for me was like I didn't really feel like going to school and taking out a bunch of debt for not a lot of outcome. Like
Yeah.
you might gain a little bit more money, you like in your hourly wage, but does that outweigh either what you learn or what like by amount of responsibility you have to do? Like you might make more money, but then you're working 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Like, and you probably aren't going to enjoy as much of that. So for me, doing something like this was always like, well, I can just have fun conversations and continue to learn from others, and then also give back. Is kind
Yeah.
of like, and I think that's a similar through line to what you were talking about. Um, it's interesting. Like, I don't normally hear a lot of people who get into music and then get more attracted on the business side of music.
Yeah.
Normally you get people who are like, I just want to be able to make banger songs and get a bunch of views
Yeah. Yeah.
or get a bunch of plays and go play giant stadiums. Like, that's an interesting one. Like, what was it about the numbers side that really drew you?
So, I live like so, I had like many tours. I did a bunch of that stuff. It's like I've had fans that were like, "We're gonna follow you to the next city," and it's like I'm just a kid from WIU. Like I still recorded my dorm room closet, so this is sweet. So to me, it was like I hit a peak of satisfaction, and then it was like
Okay.
how does this really work? Because like to me it was like it's like I have those people that are sticking with me right now, but it's like how does this really work? How do I get more people? And then it's like as I learned that side, it was like I can help people who don't because with when you're working on your craft, there's a lot of self doubt, and I wasn't winning those battles off just with my sound and things like that. So it was like, but when it came to this stuff, it's like I don't question myself. If I'm
Mhm.
so like now when if I'm coaching, I talked to my artist earlier, Lil Sizzerr, about SEO for his YouTube, and what speaking to him about that, there's no hesitation. It's all confidence. It's I know you need to do this, 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 this. you know? So it's just it was different. It was different. The experience is just different. It's like when I was making music, it's like I enjoyed it, but now I'm worried about other people. And so now when on the business side, it's like I enjoy it and I don't care as much if you think I'm right or wrong. I've done the work to know I'm right.
Yeah.
And that can't maybe it's like the instant gratification because the knowledge is out there for the business side. It's all out there and it's all free for the most part. So that and it was like I've seen success. I've had artists organically, hit 1,000 streams in 24 hours, and
Mm.
you know, I've my first year managing, I had artists opening in Chicago for like major acts, and it was like this is their first year making music. I got them on a stage like for free in Chicago, like that. So and it was like I don't know how I looking back, it was like I kinda lucked out with, like, shaking the right hands for that, but it was just like, I did
Right.
that in my first year, so it's like, "Okay, I'm good at this, let me keep building on
Yeah.
it."
Like there's something you understand about the skill set that requires you sound almost like a producer or like an like so like cross between like an agent and a producer. I don't really
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is like, my friend Tyler that I met in college, like, he was a booking agent and I was an artist, so it was like, okay, like, things are coming together, but I would be hanging out with him and, like, he'd be working for one of his other clients, and it's like, "Yo, so how do you do this? How do you do that?" "Yo, that's dope, like, that's crazy that it works out like that," and so I'm, like, watching and learning from him because he was a
Mhm.
booking agent and he was very prominent, like, we got into free shows all the time, like, I've met Louis a Child, I've met Waka Flocka, like, backstage, like, "Yo, what's up, James? How you" like, "What's your name?" It's like, "Oh, I'm James." It's like, "Oh, nice." And that's crazy, right? But I'm in
Right.
college, bro, like, sheltered,
Yeah.
like, sheltered kid, like, didn't do much, didn't leave, like, my area, so I'm in college, I meet this kid, and we're doing all these crazy things, and it's like, yo, being on the back end is not that bad if, I still get to meet these guys.
Right. I mean, because that's why you got into music, right? Because you get to meet all these people that you
Yeah.
looked up to, and it's like if you don't like, especially too, it's like I think who was I listening to? There was an author I was listening to. It was Mark Manson, the guy who made The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah, yeah, okay,
That
okay.
author. So he's been going on tour with talking about like he's got a documentary coming out, I think, about his work because he blew up and like the book is stratospheric. Like
Yeah,
it's insane. But what he was saying is like there's certain things like people will be unfulfilled, and it's like a lot of people, especially once you're a successful author, people come up to you and be like, "Well, I want to be an author," but then they don't. It's like you choose the things like the pain that you are most comfortable with,
yeah,
right? So it's like for you, it sounded like making music and having doubt about like the quality of your music or whatever else it entailed just wasn't your flavor of pain you wanted to deal with. But
yeah,
like
yeah,
helping other people, helping elevate other people was kind of like, I could do this. Like this is fine. Like I enjoy it. Whatever reason. It's like there's the secret sauce in here is I enjoy helping propel other people to their whatever level they want to get to.
yeah, and that's what it was, like, I mean, the outside of, like, the managing side, like, putting on shows, dude, like,
Hmm.
I've brought, my very first major act because I've done showcases with, emerging artists from the area, but my first major act was Montana at 300. I had a dude come and he was like, "You put this on?" I was like, "Yeah, man, like, what do you think of the show?" And he was like he just started crying. And I was like, "Yo, are you okay?" And he gave me a hug. He gave me a big ass hug, like, for a minute, bro. Like, you would have thought, like, this is my best friend. I hadn't seen him in 6 years. He gave me a hug and he was just and we talked and he was like, "My parents don't let me travel to concerts or anything. So, like, I appreciate you bringing this here." And
Yo,
I
that's
was just
awesome.
like, "Whoa." Like, 'cause that's a moment I'll never forget. Cause at first it's like, "Why is this grown man crying to me?" And he was like and he wasn't a grown man, he was, like, 18. But I was just like, that's the kinda impact I have is, like, there he was telling me about how Montana's music inspires him when he does like that. And then he was like, "I can't believe I got to see him live in my hometown." And it was just like, "Yeah, I'm doing something. I'm doing something right," you know? So
Yeah.
it was
I mean,
it felt good.
that's so dope. Like for me, I mean, I've had many conversations with my closest friends, just like the impact music has on us. And I think music is one of those things that like transcends so much. Like
Yeah,
it speaks to something and it's like especially I think with like the post pandemic stuff, I think people are gonna realize that you can't translate everything to the digital world. Like
yeah,
there's a different energy. I'm sure you get this like you could speak like go ahead and speak on as much as you want, but like being on stage, even if it's a small show, I think some of the smaller shows I've been to personally have been some of the best shows I've ever been to, where it's just like one tiny bar room effectively, and it's like
Yeah.
maybe 200 people, if that, and it's like wall to wall, and everyone, like almost everything is front stage, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So
but go
I
ahead.
like to tell people, like, music is universal.
Mhm.
It's a universal language, like, whether there's words or not, like, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it. It's a universal language, whether it's happy, sad, mad, like, you're gonna feel that. So, one thing that, just grasped me about music is how universal it is. Cause like, this kid didn't look like me, you know? He didn't look like me, and he was like, "I'm never going to forget this." Like, even now on Facebook, like, I'll see people with, like, cause I do meet and greets, and they can meet the people that come, and, like, even now, there's still people, like, with pictures of them in Montana 300 and Quincy, and it's like, "Wow, I did that." I that moment, like, it's been years. I think that was in 2019. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and it's like, we're in 2023, and it's like, it was 2022, but it was like, man, years later, you're that moment is still, like, just is sitting with you to where you wanna just broadcast it, and it's like, "Wow, that's so cool." So
Yeah,
a little
it's
little
like
pat on the back.
I mean, it's like the things you do that wouldn't have happened otherwise, right? Like
Yeah,
there's a certain, and it's not like, I mean, it's kind of like a humble brag, right? Because it's not like you help set that up, so there could be that magical moment for someone else,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
it's in those. I mean, how many people do you talk to that you ask them what their first concert was or their most memorable concert was, and they, boom, immediately, no
yeah,
hesitation, like,
yeah,
especially when you go to a small town. Like, I'm assuming Quincy's pretty tiny in comparison to, like, say, Chicago, but
yeah. We're a solid 40,000.
right, yeah, that's like one suburb of where I live.
Yeah,
But I mean, I love that, honestly. Like, for me, I remember, even for me, it's like I remember seeing the biggest concerts that I got to go to, like, as I got older. Um, I got to go to Riot Fest in
yeah,
2011, and like I hadn't really gone to like any major concerts, really, like, smaller stuff with my parents at, like, for free, maybe like 4th of July or
yeah,
something like that, right? At like a convention, just happens to be a band playing. But then it's like senior year of high school, we get to go to Riot Fest with my friends, and my parents don't come with, obviously. And it's like, we're there for 3 days. I get
yeah,
to see Blink 182 on stage for like the last time. I mean, now that we're back together, but still, it was like at that point,
yeah.
it was like, oh my God, I didn't know it was going to be the last time I got to see Tom DeLonge, who I had only ever listened to in a garage with my friends growing up in high school,
Yeah,
right? And next thing you know, in a crowd of people, everyone's singing along, and then you're just like, I'm going to crowd surf here. Like,
yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's those, like, things that will never leave your memory no matter what. Like, because I lost my friends in the crowd, obviously, because everyone rushes the stage.
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna find them in this. So I'm like, I'm gonna crowd surf so I can find them. And so I'm like literally on the ground. I'm like, "There, I found him." So then when I get thrown over the fence, I'm like, I know where to go now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Just memories like that you'll never forget, because it's like you had to be there, right? It's like
Yeah,
that you had to be there kind of thing, that I think is one of those special moments that can't be understated, when especially when it comes to the music. I mean,
yeah,
even seeing shows with Jordan, like when he was on stage at a few places, like I'll never forget those moments, just being like, yo, I like my friend got to play at that place that's now closed, kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and they did a lot. They were super active, and that goes back to, like, um, the passion in it for me. It's like, how did they get on that stage? I'm curious to that, I'm sure they had a great set, but how did they get there? That's what
Yeah.
so,
You
but
gotta
yeah,
convince people that, like, how do you get people to say yes to someone? Like, do you have to give demos? Like, what is it like, what does it get, like, someone to take the chance, especially in someone new? Like, that's the
yeah,
hardest thing, I would say.
yeah. The pitching process is so weird. So, um, for me, because my first artist I managed was JoeL Stevenson. Um, and with that came a lot of responsibility because we're both new. And I told him, I was like, and I really, so I phrase it as manager because that is the role I play on his team, but it's more of a partnership because my schedule. So I do like to say, like, it's a partnership. I don't I don't take off the top from streams or, anything like that. So it's more of a partnership, and it's like, look, if you're willing to grow with me, we'll make it work. But, it came from we had worked through this promoter once before with another artist that I was partnered with when I was focused on booking. And he was like, "Hey, do you have any artists interested in this?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I do." This was JoeL's second time performing live, and he opened up for Dave East and at the WC Social Club in Chicago. And it was like, man, it really can't be that easy. After that moment, I realized it's not that easy. There's a lot of pitching. There's how many tickets can they sell? How many people are
Right.
they gonna bring through the door? And it's like, are they a good performer? So the next time we went up there, I had a show. My artist Khamarry was opening up for Montana 300 at the WC. This is a year later, um, and the, I keep the photos from this because Khamarry is a great performer. He has great music. Same with JoeL. Great music. He's a great performer. Like, we are still developing and learning at that. So, but we go back up there. Um, and he opens for Montana 300. We go first because Khamarry's from Indiana, so it's like he doesn't have a real draw.
Gotcha.
So the promoter doesn't. There's not a big W for booking this guy to open. So we go. I try to be very professional. Here's his music. Here's what we didn't sell tickets, but I always buy tickets. If he comes with friends, I buy the tickets for me and his friends, and we'll support. So he has his set, and he blows the promoter away, blew him away. He was like, "I've never seen someone win over a crowd that quick going first." And I was just like, "That's what it is." So since then, he's like, "Hey, are you guys interested in this show?"
Mm,
I'm contacted like rather quickly for opportunities now after he saw that, and he's like, "I've never seen anyone." And then it was like, "Can I talk?" He was like, "You should bring him over here. We should talk." Like, and we sold merchandise after. He made like $300 off selling his merchandise, and he went first. So he goes first, and no one really pays attention to the opening acts.
no way. Nope.
So he goes first. He goes first. Everyone is talking to him at the bar, and like, if it's my show or like a promoter I'm friends with, it's like, no, we're not gonna steal the crowd. Go support the next act. But this is random, so it's like we don't know the next guy going. It's not
Oh,
Montana.
okay.
You won this attention. Bask in it. So we're standing at the bar. The people in the audience all like swarm over, and they're all talking to him and like, "Do you have any merchandise? Do you have?" And really, we came unprepared, so because we didn't know.
Right.
So it was amazing. But there's a lot of little things that go into getting placed on those, and sometimes it is
Yeah.
as easy as you pay them. It can be that easy,
Mm.
but pay to play is not always a win. But I tell people, like, if you pay to perform somewhere, take something to sell so you can make your money back. Because I mean, you can sell tickets, but it's hard to sell tickets if you're 5 hours away from the venue. So it's like, take something to sell.
Yeah, because you're not gonna have, like, the name to be able unless you already have a standing like, I feel like it's different now when you have Spotify, YouTube, and all those different levels of reach, but if you're still starting out, getting that, like, natural traction is still difficult
Yeah,
in this
and it
world.
and it is because I mean, if you look at it like this, like, if the show starts at 8 and the headliner doesn't go on till 11, there's like 10 acts before the headliner. So it's like you could easily be forgotten if you don't leave an impact. You know,
Yeah,
so
you gotta be real good.
yeah, I tell people, because I do consultations for people, and they don't like paying for it, and I do give a lot of free gems, but it's like, I paid for some of the information I got. I put the time in, the sweat equity too. So it's like, man, it's $20 if you want to talk for an hour, like, and I'll give you
Mhm.
everything in that hour. But it's like, I tell them, I was like, take cards with a QR code, make it easy for them to follow you. You know what I'm saying? Make it easy for them. If you paid to be there, if you paid or if you didn't pay, if you're doing a live performance, you should take something to sell, because there's a chance that it may not be a lot of people, but if one person is like, "Dude, you're awesome. Do you have any merchandise? I want to remember this." Like, you don't want to be like, "Oh, I don't have anything, man. Sorry." Like, no,
Yeah,
you want to have something like,
or
um,
at least have a card to your website or something that you can
yeah,
be
yeah.
like, "Shout me out on whatever, please."
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, and I tell artists all the time, like, after you perform somewhere, like, if that promoter has a production company, like, post a clip on your stories thanking them for having you. You know, at the end of the day, they don't care. They don't, you know, don't how do I phrase this? At the end of the day, on the level of importance at the time, you're not very high, but I guarantee you're gonna stick out if you thank them for having you and they see that notification.
Yeah.
You know
Plus,
what
it's
I'm
free
saying?
PR and for that publisher because it's like, oh, cool. Like, hey, when it's just reciprocal, right? Like, you're just
Yeah.
leaving everyone with warm and fuzzies is the idea, right? Like, you
Yeah.
want to be a good
No,
sport.
no. I could go on with things I would recommend artists do, but, uh, it's just before I got into hosting concerts myself, it was like I love to go to them. Like
Mhm.
you and crowd surfing, I think that's crazy. I've probably been to over 100 concerts and never crowd surfed. I don't.
Really?
My anxiety won't let me. I've seen people do it, but it's just like it's not me. But I think that's so cool.
I
One
mean,
day,
it's
one day I'll just be like, "Fuck it, I'm here." Wah! But
that's exactly what happened. I was just like, "This is Blink-182 playing, and I don't know where my friends are." And I was like, at first, I was like running through mosh pits that were just forming randomly. I'm just like, "Okay, I'm just gonna wait till there's a gap and just gonna like run through." And I'm like, "Okay, this is gonna like I'm not a big person, so like this is gonna be a mistake. At some point, I'm gonna get elbowed in the face." You know what I mean? And I'm like, and then I just saw like one guy like just jump on somebody's shoulder, and everyone just like, "Oh, okay, I guess we're just crowd surfing this guy now." So I just did the same thing,
yeah,
and I'm like, "Okay, it's working. No plan at all."
that's awesome.
I'm not a big again. It's like advantage of not being a big person. So it's like, oh wait, it's just. But
Yeah,
it's like one of those things, especially like being at Riot Fest, like just at a crazy, like huge venue where there's stages all over the place. It's not nearly as big as Lollapalooza, but it's more of like the punk rock slash
yeah.
kind of metal for those who don't know, but it's pretty big out here in the Midwest. It comes every year, and it was like the first few times I've seen bands like Guar. Like I've never knew who the heck Guar was until I got there, and I was like, oh boy,
So
was
is
not
it
ready.
something you still go to?
I haven't gone in a couple years because I'm not like super caught up to like mainstream music. Like
Yeah.
my style of music is more of like, how would you even call it? Like chill melodic EDM is kind of my forte
Okay.
now for like focusing because a lot of the work I do is all like thinking work. So I just need
Yeah.
stuff that kills the background noise for me. So I don't really like the music I listen to now isn't really like
No, I
that
feel.
that high energy anymore, unfortunately. I've
Yeah.
also never been super mainstream person when it comes to music tastes, but that's really not really a main point at all. Um, Kind of going back to what you were talking about with your artist though, what did like say you're talking to like a new artist, what would be like the top one or two things you would recommend either they stop doing or start doing right now to like
So,
help promote themselves, to like
everyone
make themselves more attractive to either getting on stage or whatever it is that they're trying to do to just jumpstart their presence.
so I tell a lot like, people that wanna perform other places, professionalism is really good, just to start there, like, uh, I sat down with a promoter in my area, Rios Mios, and he was like, "People just say, like, 'Yo, you're the promoter guy.'" And it was just like, "Okay, that's cool for what we're doing," but it's like, "Okay, if you wanna go be on stage in front of 300 people, you have to, 'Hey, I'm this person, I've been to a few of your shows,' or, I think it's dope that you bringing him to the area. I like what you're doing. Like, do you have any openings?" Just the professionalism aspect is really good. And then, just and then, like, your content needs to be good. Like, I know everyone's like, "Content, content, content, content," but, like, I I don't think it's like you need to post every day, but I think it needs to be worth watching. Like, if you message me to be on my show and it's like, okay, did they send me their music or did I have to go look for it? Like, did they make it easy for me to find them? Like, if I click on their social media, are they actively like pushing their music? You know, um, I don't think promoters are as entitled as, oh, this looks like it was like filmed poorly, like I can't book him. I don't think that goes into it, but it's like, okay, are you actively pushing your music? Like, is music something you really want to do, or are you just like a hobbyist? And there's nothing wrong with being a hobbyist and trying to do stuff like that. which because honestly, hobbyists are the people that are probably willing to just be like, "Oh, it's $400. I have $400 here." More so than someone that takes it serious, and that's neither here nor there. But I don't know.
Mhm.
The things I look for when people ask me to be on shows is like, how did they approach me? I'm cool. I'm at the level where it's like, "Yo, you do shows, like, how do I get on a show?" I'm at a level where, like, that's okay. I'm not gonna be like, "You don't talk to people like that," I'm not that's not who I am. So it's so I look for that, and then I look for, okay, does your music is your music quality good? Are you active? Like, because my showcases are for hobbyists, but my shows, I don't make artists pay to be on them unless they wanna make money from ticket sales,
Mhm.
and that usually comes with a good following, so it's like, okay, have I seen you perform before? Do you have any performance clips? Are you a good performer? Because my thing as a promoter is I would much rather like, don't get me wrong, it sucks losing money, but I
Mhm.
would much rather give a more quality show than just to say I threw a show. Like,
Right.
I did Kirko Bangz and for my last year on Spookfest,
That's cool.
and it was a lot of hiccups and a lot of things went wrong, but it was just like
Mhm.
the show went so well that no one even acknowledged the fact that, he didn't perform Kirko didn't perform the length he was supposed to, like,
Mm.
because the people that opened before them, they felt like they got their money's worth. That's a quality show. To me, that's a quality show. It's like
Yeah.
they have no idea that Kirko was supposed to perform 20 minutes longer because they felt like, "Wow, this is a good night," "I paid to see Kirko, but I got so much more," "I got JoeL Stevenson, I got AyeBee, I got Khamarry, I got Nick Moody," So it was just like, "Okay, this was this was worth it." And so
That's
I would
cool.
much rather throw a quality show than just, "This guy paid me 250, go up there, you got 10 minutes."
Right.
And then more money at the bar where you don't make any money and they're not thinking of the quality of the show, they're waiting until Kirko comes on. And it's like
Mhm.
if that was the case, if I did throw just anyone up there and they didn't grasp the attention of them and they spent time at the bar, they would have noticed that Kirko cut his set. So it's
Right.
just like yeah, so that's kinda what I look for as a promoter, just how active are you? Are you a good performer? Because I do host showcases. Have you supported me? Like, and that's where it comes back to, share if you get booked, share on your IG story, thank that promoter. It's like I'm to where it's like that would mean a lot to me to be
Right.
shared on your story and highlighted. That would mean a lot to me because I'm still building my platform. I put a lot of money into ads for shows, and I don't make people pay to get on them. So it's like if you can help cut my expenses by shedding light on what I'm doing, that's great.
Right. Everything counts, right? It's like what I've heard recently, and I really do agree with this. Like, especially in the like podcasting world, or even something like promoting. It's like every conversation, every show that goes well, it's like a layer of paint, and you're just basically building that mountain one layer at a time, and
Yeah,
it's like you're building a living resume because you never know, like all these guys you're that are like first, second time, or first 10 times on being on stage. Who knows where they're going to be in 5, 10 years?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like, they could be the next whoever, right? The next big name that everybody's talking about, and it's like people are gonna be like, "Wait, where did they start?" And next thing you know, they're gonna be like, just because of how the internet is linked nowadays, you're gonna be one of the first names that's probably gonna be popping up if that ever
yeah,
happens, right? Like,
yeah.
it
And
and
that's the coolest thing is like when your name is mentioned in rooms you've never been in a positive light. That's
Mhm.
that's like for podcasts, for example, I've been like, I went to lunch with my friend today. I was like, "Yeah, I have a podcast interview tonight." I'm excited because I listen to your podcast, so it's so cool to be on the platform. So he texted me. He was like, "Are you still doing your podcast interview?" Because he was gonna watch it live. Like he was like, I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
"Yeah." I was like, "It's gonna be pre-recorded, but like so it's like that it means a lot. It means a
That's
lot.
awesome.
Yeah."
That's I mean, that's exciting for me to hear, 'cause it's like, I
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
you gotta you got a couple new listeners on the way because
Yeah.
I put it on my Snap story that, I was interviewing and, I do like, I don't know what it is about people because I asked on my Twitter, I was like, "If you guys get interviewed, do you guys feel like you have to push, like, the episodes or what you're on?" People were like, "I do because I want people to hear my story," and then I had people saying, "No, not really, because it's not their platform." I was just like, that doesn't make any sense to me because they took the time to, to have conversation with you, whether it went good or it went poorly. Like, they took the time. I would appreciate if you just push it, but so I
Yeah.
plan on. I'm like grateful.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like for me, it's like part of the reason I just changed my philosophy on this. I'm curious what you have to say, but like, you know, when I first started doing this kind of stuff, I was always just wanted to be not about my face, but about the people I'm talking to or the ideas I'm talking about. I'm a
Yeah,
very idea centric person, and like, how do you orient yourself in the world to operate well? And this is kind of like this is totally how is the sausage made. So for those people who want to be meta, this is for you. But like, I normally don't talk about this, but this is like how I think, and for me, it's like okay, well, and especially with getting on YouTube and doing more video like we're doing now, I'm like, oh wait, people really do enjoy like connecting to a face, even if it's static.
yeah,
Um, and it's like I can't hide from the impact that I have on this thing.
yeah,
As much as I don't want it to be about me, like it's like there's a certain fraction of this that is unavoidably me.
yeah,
Because I'm the connection through it all. And but part of it too is still it's like I want to do justice to anyone I have on and be able to kind of cut through because I started doing this like right around 2016 where all of, like the division and the kind of the
yeah.
craziness within the political world started really getting crazy, and I don't think it's gotten really much better or some would
I'd, ag-
say worse.
yeah, I'd
But
agree.
this is this is not a political discussion by any means. But really what as I've always wanted is just like we should just talk to people more instead of passing judgment and being like, well, this person has bad opinions and I'm going to be angry. Well, why don't you just ask them honest questions, not in an attacking way, not in a judgmental way. Just be like, hey, tell me like why do you believe that or where did that come from? And just explain your life for as much as you're willing to explain to me. And I think at the end of the day, almost everyone can be like, oh, okay. I might not agree with you, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, yeah, I, yeah. I agree. It really can be like that simple.
Yeah, like
It really
it
can.
doesn't have to be crazy. And it's like, yeah, I mean, we're all trying to do this to like further, maybe not an agenda, but like we have experiences and things that are worth sharing. And like I'm sure I'd love to be successful and stuff like that, but it's like I get so much value from this. Just like even if this was never recorded and it didn't go online, I'd still find value from this personally. It's
Yeah,
just a bonus that I get to share it with the internet. And like, hey, I don't know how other people are going to take this, but I hope that it's like there's a gem in here that it's like, oh damn, if you wanted to be in music or whatever, like you
yeah,
something gets recommended and someone runs with it and it like sets them on a trajectory to go do the thing they didn't think they could do. Dope. Keep
yeah,
doing it.
yeah. I mean, and you did that for me for my podcast. So
Right, and that's what it's all about in some sense. Like I was always that like young kid who was into like science and engineering and stuff like that, but I didn't really have like mentors per se to like, hey, this is what you go do in the world.
yeah,
And so a lot of this is just like, okay, well, if there was something that a younger me would want that should have existed when I was little, like what would it look like? And it's like, well, I guess this looks like this.
yeah,
And so I'm just doing that until it gets boring or it transitions to something different. But like
yeah,
it's always just scratching your own itch. I think it's like, and that's why for me, I'd never wanted to just do one topic because I think it's there's so much to explore in the world. Like
yeah,
I might not be as into music and stuff as you, but like there's still parts of it that I'm like, damn, there's a lot to dig through, and who knows, maybe it'll apply. I mean, like
yeah,
the business side of everything, like a lot of what you've already said with when it comes to like even for a musician, like, hey, you got to still learn about like what's your reach look like, or hey, what are like how active are you? Like, do you post regularly enough, even if it's just once a week or something?
yeah,
Like, how are you automating yourself? Like all these like quote unquote boring things, right? Like the business stuff,
yeah,
like it's like the things that are hidden, like the invisible work that you have to do. And you know all about this,
yeah,
like
yeah,
all the things. Like I remember when I was working on I'm curious what you would have to say, but like I was doing some like animation type stuff, like was trying to get intros ready for like YouTube stuff.
yeah,
And I was working on a 4-second intro for like hours. And I made like 10 different iterations of it. And I'm like, this thing is 4 seconds long. And I spent like 6 hours trying to do this thing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'm like, but you love every second of it because you're like working on like
yeah. You're like in the zone. Yeah, you're in the zone. Cause alright, so for the YouTube channel that I run where I share music and, things like that, um, I had to come up with, like, how do I want this to look when they're playing it? Do I just want a picture in the background? You
Hmm.
know, 'cause, 10 hours on a 4-second intro, mine was very similar. Cause it's like, I don't know anything about editing, but, I kinda like what I'm doing, so I'll figure it out. So, I feel
Yeah, it's these little things that you like spend ungodly amount of time on something that doesn't really last very long, and
Yeah, yeah,
you're
'cause
like, oh my god. But
they're
it's
gonna
like you
watch it and not think they're like, "Oh, that didn't take very long." And it's like, "It took me, half a day."
right. You're like, I adjusted that thing, had to move it over, line it up perfectly every time. But that's
Yeah.
like the perfectionist, it's like the perfectionist in all of us who do these kind of things because you see all the imperfections, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
because
dude,
you're
yeah.
so close to it. But I think, part of it too for me, and I'm curious what you'd have to say is like, what skills have you picked up on that like you wouldn't have realized you would be like pick up along the way? Like just for me for podcasting, like the easy thing to say is you hit record and then you record audio and that's about it, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the easy part of it. But then, since then I've learned graphic design, I've learned audio mixing. Like you already had some of that background because of music, but I didn't really have that. And thankfully I'm not doing mixing with instruments because that's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Natural voice is so much easier to work with.
Yeah.
But it's like all these other skills that just get pulled in because you're like, well, if you care about the quality of a thing, and that's kind of what you were saying with the show, right? Like you could just be like, well, give me X amount of dollars, you'll get on stage, but I'm not going to help you or I'm not going to try and
Yeah.
whatever. Like, but like you care about like the presentation and I mean, I don't know, this is not a technical term, but the vibe of the show, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I definitely want to go pin that one. Like, I really want to come back to like vibe because I think you have like you had a thing on your it's like vibe check or is what it's called.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
wanna go back to that and, like, just vibe categorically, like, like, it's kinda like taste, right?
So, my Vibe Check series, is a showcase series. The idea started, um, I look for talent. Because I wanna put good performers on the big stage, like, if you can help me give the people paying $20, $25 to be here a good show, like, I will reward you every time by putting you in front of, 50 to 100 people to make you a fan. Because it is being in the small area, it's really tough to draw, no matter who it is, no matter who it is. Like, Montana's still my biggest show, but my best show is probably Jarren Benton. But back to the showcases. So I do the showcase competitions, and I like to think I'm fair as far as what I experience, what my friends have experienced as a promoter. Like, so it's like it's $50 and we split ticket sales 50-50. So if you sell as many tickets as you want, you keep 50% of it. If you want to sell merch, you can sell merch at the show. I take no percentage of it because I'm a DIY promoter, so I have to pay the rent venue. So it's like it's nice to have a guarantee. Um, so the vibe checks, the goal of those is to find talent to put on a bigger stage to have a better outcome of final presentation of the show. And with that, that's how I found Khamarry. That's how
Oh,
I
that's dope.
yeah. So, I did a vibe check tour, and it was like I'm booking people from that area to perform in these locations. And my very first one, like, flopped. I went to a smaller town than the one I live in, and the artists that were supposed to perform, like, backed out, like, while I'm
Oh,
driving up there. So, Khamarry still drove from Indiana. They had a and it started as a competition, so I paid out. There was a grand prize, expecting there to be ticket sales and stuff like that, but it's like, I paid for the venue, I got paid a grand prize. Hopefully, I can break even. I had to change that format because I can't just be paying out $400 to have no one in the crowd. That's just bad business. Um, so he came up and he put on a great show. Like, he even had the other artists like, "Whoa," like, so, and then the next weekend we went over to Peoria and we did a show, and that one had a great turnout. Like, the atmosphere was just, I don't look for a certain sound at the vibe checks. I'm looking for artists who are talented and can perform, and they want to take their
mhm.
music to the next level. Granted, I'm not gonna be hands on and helping you get there, but it's like when you perform for a show, it's like keep track of how many tickets you sold. That's very important because Quincy's close to St. Louis. If you can sell 30 tickets in Quincy, you can probably sell 30 tickets in St. Louis,
If
you
not
know?
double that, just because of volume.
Yeah. Yeah. People in Quincy are so used to driving to St. Louis for shows already. So it's like, you're opening for Tech Nine in St. Louis? Hell yeah, I'll buy a ticket. Tech Nine is huge in Quincy. He's someone that you often hear there, so it's like,
Okay.
wow, you got a chance to open for Tech Nine in St. Louis. I'll pay $30 and drive down there to support you.
Mhm.
So it's like you can tell your promoter, "Hey, he's he's he has a fan base here. I can sell this amount of tickets. I've sold that many here. I've already got like I believe I can do this." You take that to him in your pitch and it's like, "Okay, we'll work with you."
Yeah.
So and it's kinda like you wouldn't have that ticket history if you hadn't performed because I'm the only one that does hip hop shows there. They don't they play hip hop music in the bars but they don't it has a negative notion to it. People just think the absolute worst when you say rap. Because my very first show was at the Joker's Lounge, right? And this
Mhm.
is, like even the event spaces, like, that are, like, built to have concerts were telling me no, and it was and now they tell me yes. Now I can it's like, "Hey, I have
You're
a show then."
changing you've
Yeah.
changed the paradigm a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like, "Hey, are you guys free this weekend? I'll give you my deposit." Now it's like that, but before it was like it would be like, "No," and they wouldn't. So shout out to Angie at the Joker Lounge, gave me my first shot, and I always give her credit because that show was like, "Oh, he's serious, nothing happened, it was safe, it was all these things, we can do that." So now it's like everyone's like, "You should have a show here, you should have a show here," and it's like, now they're even, like, letting me do it for free because Angie lets me book for free. So it's just
Wow.
like yeah, so it's like now they're like, "Oh, you don't have to pay us anything if you do it here." And it's just like, I think I'm gonna go over there unless I, like, need the extra capacity. But
You're building the rapport because you're become consistent, you're not gonna flake on people, and you bring a certain, like, what is the word? Professionalism, I would assume, because you're doing the vetting process of, like, making sure these people aren't shady or
yeah,
whatever. I
yeah,
I think it's something that's really important, like, because people think it's like you just do one thing and you don't affect, like, the larger network, so to speak, but, like,
yeah,
I think you're really proving the point that, like, especially, I think maybe it's just heightened because you're working with smaller towns and smaller venues and stuff, so it's like they're really looking for, like, you're looking for smaller people who are, what's the word? Like, hungry enough to get after it, right? Like, if you
yeah,
come up here in, like, Chicagoland area, that you like, if you find those music venues, they're booked probably every weekend, have way
yeah,
too many people that are asking, that kinda thing, right? Like,
yeah,
whereas, like, your kinda area, it's like, no, you're looking for people who are gonna commit. Like, you're looking for the people who are like, "No, let's just, like, this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna have to just take risks because otherwise I'm gonna have to move somewhere else, or
yeah.
I just don't care enough to do this," right? But what I was gonna say is, like, have you ever, like, offered any of the people you work with who maybe, like, are really, like, new? Like, there's a thing in, I forget who, it might be Kelly Starrett or something like that, but there's a blog post that circulated it's old now, like, maybe 10 years old, but it's called "1,000 True Fans." Um, and basically it's like kind of this evergreen idea of, like, all you have to do is find 1,000 true fans.
Yeah.
And you just find those people who just are gonna support you no matter what, and you're always gonna be able to make something successful. Because 1,000 people is not, like, it sounds like a small number, but it's not. Like,
It's not. I like just the perspective of thing, it's like, imagine 1,000 people, like, in front of you.
right.
That's a lot of people, and, uh, the that that plays into, how many likes your post gets. That's all that it's all it all matters. Like, people are like, "Only 10 people like this," but if 10 people were standing right here and were like, "Yo, that's dope," you'd be like, "Fuck yeah." You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Um
That's a really good point. Like, people downplay it so much, but it's like, yo, you get 10 people, like, who wanna give you a high five and say, "Yo, that was legit." Like,
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that was legit. Uh, but yeah, I agree 'cause, um, and it's hard, it's hard, like, I will say, like, Joel, we had a good year, like, 50,000 streams, we're we sold good amount of merchandise, and it's just like, wow, like, you have fans, we're mailing merchandise all over the United States. You know what I'm saying? And, and it's like, okay, now we got some collecting dust, but it's like, we had 20 people buy shirts that we don't know. We
mhm.
don't know who we don't they're just fans of his music, so it's like if 20 people bought tickets that you didn't know to support you, you gotta you gotta look at it like that. But I do agree with that because I've read that.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah,
I had a feeling you probably had come across it because it's
yeah,
kind of common in like the entrepreneur group.
yeah. Because I would even say nowadays it's 100 people. You get 100 people to share your music, like, come on.
Oh yeah. I mean, you get people to share your stuff. It's like that organic just growth of just people who are
Yeah,
just like, yo, this person did something that's cool. Like,
yeah,
or someone gets excited about the thing you're doing. I don't know, it's been one of those things that like I just doubled down on doing like I think I did like 3 months of just reels. I posted one reel every day and
dang, that's a grind.
it was a lot of work, but I have like, 200 podcasts that I could go through and just be like, okay, where's like a, under a minute
Yeah,
clip that I can find. But, it's just a lot of work of like just forcing myself to just find one little gem to just post.
yeah,
I've fallen out of the habit since I'm posting more of these long form ones now, but it's one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, okay, this is I didn't expect it to be like a thing, but then it's every so often. It's still hard to predict, honestly, what's gonna be like a big one or not. but
yeah,
like, but like every so often you get that one where it's like, damn, that just popped off for some reason.
yeah,
I don't know why. And then it's just like you just get people, and it's like how like you were saying earlier with like bringing QR codes. It's like path of least resistance. It's like, hey, you post a clip, make sure that links to an episode somewhere else, either to a website or if it's already on YouTube, make sure like the end card shows up. It's like,
yeah,
how do you just keep people like exploring the things you're creating or
yeah.
somehow? I mean, for something like I'm doing where it's information based, it's easier, but like for music, I think it's a little bit easier because I'm sure it's like playlists and stuff like that is like the way people get reached.
Yeah, that's a common thing, um, but I would say, TikTok has been great,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that one.
Reels, YouTube Shorts, like, I would say that even more so because playlisting, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with playlisting, but, if you get taken off a playlist, only a few of the like, ask yourself, like, when you turn on a random playlist, like, do you often find yourself taking songs from that playlist to add to your
Yeah, probably not. Unless I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing, a lot of people just let the playlist play, like, even if it's
Mhm.
dope, it's on this playlist, so I'll just play this playlist again until it's
Yeah.
not, and they're not gonna realize it's not on there, So, but I think playlists are great, that's really what, drove a lot of attention, like, Joel has 1,000 followers on Spotify, not monthly listeners, but followers, so it's like 1,000 people are notified every time he drops, whether
Mm.
they play on the song or not, like, they're still notified that he dropped the song. You
Yeah.
know? So, so playlists are great, but, it was more so the organic reach of reels, shorts,
Yeah.
and,
Are people
TikTok.
paying for this is totally like an aside, just my curiosity is peaked, but are people paying for like, "Hey, go make a reel using my song?" It doesn't matter what it is,
Yeah,
but like just play the song in the reel or the short, whatever it happens to be.
yeah. So influencer marketing is, like, huge right now, so you can get people to dance to it,
Mhm.
or use it, like, in their skit or, like, a lot of people don't know, like, even if they use if they use a song on the podcast, let's say you use, like, one of Khamarry's song in the podcast under it, that counts as a stream every time someone listens to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's just it's ways, but it's like it's indirectly, so it's like it's probably not gonna build fans because they're not listening to the podcast for the music, they're listening to for the
Right.
conversation.
Unless you make a music podcast that's about getting it out there.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but
so
that's a different but I mean, that's the thing, it's like, what's unique about podcasts is it's such a broad like, it's such a catch-all term.
yeah, 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 because I interviewed with someone who does play, like, a live song during their podcast, and I was like, "This is crazy," and that's what made me like, "Does that count for anything?" And that's how I learned that, yeah, it does. So it's like, okay, how do I incorporate that
Mm,
to what I'm doing for them too? So, but yeah,
yeah.
I'd say a big thing now for marketing aspect for songs is like yeah, your music does have to be good. It just has to be good, but there's still the street stickers, slapping them up with the QR code. Like I still tell my guys like we should do stickers, like take them to shows because people will like slap them on their laptop. people will do that. Like, and it's like, oh, I forgot what this to, and they'll scan it, and it's like that. There's ways to keep track of how many it's
Yep.
scanned, and so dude, I'll talk about music all night.
Hey, it's all good. I'm just asking you all these questions because this applies not just to music, but anyone who's trying to build whatever thing. It's
Yeah,
like, how do you? Analytics is huge. Just in understanding what's your reach like. What are you doing? Are you doing it well? It's like,
yeah,
and at a
and
certain point, you have to just kind of get stuff out there first. So don't just be stuck with analysis paralysis. But
yeah. So I one thing I've learned, and I kind of reiterate, is like, dude, making good music is maybe 10% of the whole pie. So the other 90% is what really goes into breaking your career. You'll hear like major people say, yeah, it costs $150,000 to break your artist, and it's like, okay, that's fair. That makes sense, but it's like I can also break an artist and have them have 1,000 monthly listeners off $30 if the song is good. It's understanding the market. A song I did for JoeL Stevenson, Grace, that was a $20 Facebook ad, and it still gets like 70 to 80 streams a day. That was a Facebook
wow.
ad off a like it was like $25 Facebook ad. It was our first song that it was like a 4-day ad. It was our first song to hit 1,000 streams. So it was just like, okay,
That's
if we
that's
know
great ROI.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, okay, if we know where we're aiming, we can really do this. But then it comes down to budgeting and where we're spending the money, and if we're gonna constantly do this. And he was just like, I try not to tell them how to spend their money. I just advise them. I'm their partner. Like, I can tell them what's good for them, what's bad for them, but they're gonna do what they want to do at the end of the day. And that's because I'm not all in 100%. So I can't be like, stop doing that. And he got big onto paying for his post to be seen. And, you know, I think people have to realize like Instagram and all these social media platforms are, if you have 1 million followers, they're not going to show your stuff to 1 million people because that defeats the purpose. That defeats how they're going to make money. You know what I'm saying? So once you start putting money into it, it's like once you stop, you do see a little retaliation. So it's like now your posts aren't getting any traction. He went from getting 100, 150 likes on posts, starting paying to boost his music, and now he'll get like 10 to 15. Of course, that comes with all things like the algorithm changing and what
Right.
Instagram decides to push, because it just went from they're pushing reels to now they're back to pushing photos. So it's like, if you don't stay on top of that, then you really don't know, because your reels used to get 500 views and now they're down to like 50 to 100. And it's like, what happened? It's like they're pushing photos again. So it's like, so it is a lot. It can be a lot.
There's so many like knobs to turn nowadays, right? Like before, you basically attach yourself to a big label, and then you they you
They
trust them because they're the big label and they have the huge giant marketing team and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They'll get you going. But now it's like, well, now you have to learn how to deal with TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, like whatever else, Google probably on top of that,
Yeah.
like
For us, like Google, yeah, because it's
mm,
like, okay, we gotta have good reviews, gotta make sure our SEO good, that we pop up, like, so,
right.
yeah,
Personally, like it's kind of hard to say like websites are kind of dead, or at least blogs are dead. But
dude, I agree.
like I still think probably having an email, like a newsletter, is probably a good idea for most people, because that's the one thing us small independent people can control, just in general, because
Email's
there's no
never going
algorithm.
away.
There's no algorithm either, right? Like there's no one
Yeah,
throttling your reach. It's like if you get your people who really like you to sign up for the newsletter that you put out for your new
yeah,
releases or whatever, then you got a direct line of communication for your super fans. Like,
yeah,
doesn't matter if you become flavor of the week, or you're no longer, you get put in internet jail
yeah.
for whatever reason.
You still got it when you get
You-
back.
right? Yeah, like you have a walled off section of the internet that you control, right? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
and that
so
it's crazy how many people don't take advantage of that because they think it's, like, played out, but, like, I used that in my recent campaign for the concert, and
mhm,
you know, I was getting, like, a 42%, like, open rate. So, it was like, okay.
that's good.
Yeah, and I thought that was and I was like, "Whoa, okay, I need to."
For most emails, you do not get that good.
Yeah, and my list is small, it's like 300 a little under 300 people, so it's like 42% of these people are checking this email, so it's good. So it's like, and then when you like pre-save a song or something like that, they ask you for your email if it's okay to email you. So it's like I went and looked at these guys' list of their saved emails. It's like you guys have like 100 people here that we could email when your song drops. We should do that.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
like these are
So
people who already are in. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah.
path
So
of least resistance. Again, I feel like that's a like we keep saying that.
yeah,
These are the things nobody says. Hey, here's what's going on behind the scenes that everyone does because it's like, oh, these are the boring things, or
yeah,
like they
yeah,
feel like they don't matter, but then end up like these are the 10,000 like steps you have to take, and then once you do
yeah,
it 10,000 times, oh, it's like wow, now you're an overnight success, right? Like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but they don't know that I was sending 3 emails a week and
right,
making new ones. They don't know I was spending 10 hours on 4-second intros, like so it's
absolutely.
yeah, it's wild the things that we put into to develop ourselves and, our passion projects and things like that, you know? They see the final product, they don't see the 9 o'clock conversations, you know?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. The 9 o'clock. That is what it is right now. I was like, wait. So, it's almost Monday already. The weekend's not long enough.
No, it never is.
I mean, we could keep going for hours and hours at this point. So we'll wrap this up very shortly. We've covered a couple things, but do you have any other books or podcasts or any people you follow that have like impacted your life to like learn like all the stuff you've really been iterating? Like any mentors you look up to?
So, it was like once, cause I went on the road to sobriety. I got so cause I wanted to get serious about life. I had made some mistakes that it was just like, man, it's I gotta get real with myself. So I started reading more, watching TV less, um, you know, reading more, stop going out, so it was really Gary V. I read Crushing It, and that kinda got me on a spurt of that was like the first serious book I read. Like before that I read the Arena series by Morgan Rice, and that was like escapism, it just, but it was like Crushing It by Gary V, and then it was like Asking and Is Given by Abraham Hicks, and then right now I'm like reading Letting Go, because just I don't I struggle comprehending emotions and things like that and coping. So it's like I'm reading this to learn, and I've learned a lot uh, about pride and things like that. So those are I do read a lot of self help books because I don't have the greatest background. It wasn't always smooth sailing. So it's like how do you operate as an adult and
Mhm.
navigate these seas, the waves? Because you can't stop the waves whether you're up high or you can only surf them.
Yeah.
So, but like, so those books really helped me and stand out on my list. And then it was like it went from Crushing It by Gary Vee to Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mhm.
And it was like that really changed my perspective on money. Like that was a big one. And then like leisurely, I read the book on Mac, and that's probably the book I read the most. And then my friends that are Mac heads, I got them a copy of it because it was you get to learn a lot about him, but the impact he had on us when we were younger was like it's nice to like see and hear about like studio sessions and stuff like that.
Oh,
Like
that's
this is
cool.
the guy that helped change our lives with his music. So it's like
Mhm.
it's cool to like hear the stories from his team after his passing and things like that. So, a big self help kind of guy these days when it comes to books, just for the knowledge aspect and the perspective. Because when you're not taught things when you're younger, or you're only used to seeing like when you want different than what you've always had, it's hard to navigate those. Um,
Yeah, because there's no one you can ask, right? Like, there's no one
yeah,
around who's like, at least for me, it's like I have very Midwestern parents too, so it was like the idea of even talking about stocks. My parents like, be careful, they might take your money, and I'm like, what?
yeah, yeah.
Like
The
the
limited
the
thinking.
yeah, I totally get that. And then I do actually have one book to add on for emotional awareness or emotional intelligence that I really like. Um, at least when it comes to men. It's called "I Don't Want to Talk About It" by Terry Real.
Mm.
Um,
Let me
and
write that
basic,
down.
yeah, this. I mean, you could tell I have my own process for marking up books. I got all these flags all over it, but this one is the secondary title is "Overcoming the Secret Legacy of Male Depression." And it's not only depression, but it's really just like all of the ability, like how men are basically cultured by society to not be able to deal with their emotions as effectively. Like, it's kind of like, I'm assuming you're close to my age, being a 90s kid. It's like you're told to just grin and bear it, right? Like the typical male male of like don't show your emotion kind of thing, stuff it down and don't acknowledge it at all. Um and I just really enjoyed that book just as a way of like trying to contextualize and hearing all these experiences of like other people. And it's like, oh wait, you're not the only one that's experienced this shit. um and then kind of going back to the sobriety thing, that I've been hearing it so often nowadays, like people who are just not drinking anymore, like limiting it. It's insane. I actually ended up doing dry January for with my running. Before we hit recording, I was just like, well, I'm just gonna go all in and just run every day. And I'm like, well, if I'm running every day, there's no room to go drinking. um and it's just been an interesting thing. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to like even really drink that much anymore after doing 1 month. I'm like, this is nice. My sleep is amazing and I don't have to worry about just the negative impacts of alcohol. So I'm just curious, like, is there anything else you want to add to that? Because I think it's really a growing movement right now, just with people realizing you don't need it, right? Like there's not a lot of upside to drinking.
Okay. Um, but yeah, sobriety. I jumped into it simply just because I wanted to get real with myself, and it was
Hmm.
just time. It was like if I have all these aspirations, I can't spend every weekend like drinking and going out,
Yeah.
or you know, I cut out video games too. Like that was something.
Wow.
Yeah, and man, video games are such a big part of my life. So it's like it's weird because like I haven't turned my PS2 on, and I think my friend said like 600 some days or some
Wow.
yeah, something crazy like that, and it's just like, wow, it's right here, like I can see it, and it's just like I have no like I don't even use it for Netflix,
Hmm.
so just it is weird because it's like as a kid I couldn't wait to come home and play the game.
Yeah. I mean, I feel you on that one. It's like I'll still play here and there, but it's like I set the expectations of like, nope, you have to do something. Like I have to either work out or I have to do something when it comes to podcasting or whatever the website in general before I can do that. Like
Yeah,
I need to do something else. Otherwise it's like, yeah, if you there's so many things, and this is like the pet theory I've had for myself for a while, but I feel like the future person, like the young person growing up now, the superpower they need to develop is how to direct their attention. And like
yeah,
everything you're talking about right there is like how to like the things that steal from your attention so that you don't achieve the things you want, right? Like sure, playing maybe an hour a day or whatever, or an hour every couple days is fine. But when you string that all together and maybe you like, especially when it comes to like drinking and you are hungover for half a day,
yeah,
like that adds up over time. And if you want to accomplish something that's not what your peers are doing, you might need to like limit it. And like, for me, where I think about this is like for people who mindlessly scroll on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, it's like you're being hijacked from a dopamine standpoint in your brain to
yeah,
just become a zombie effectively. And some of this is a little bit fear mongering, but like if you really want to achieve something in your life, you need to learn how to control yourself and set
discipline. Yeah,
like yeah, you need to discipline yourself so you're not wasting your time. Like, because if you value your time more than like these apps don't value your time, period. Like
yeah,
you are the thing they're monetizing. So like they just want you on it consuming all the time. like
yeah.
like if they could put it in your brain and just have you connected to it constantly, they would do it. Like
They would, yeah, in an instant.
so it's like, okay, how do you circumvent it? And a lot of that is like just learning how to like. I don't have notifications turned on my phone for 99% of things.
Dude,
Like,
same. One person, one person. That's my daughter's mom. That's it.
yeah, right. Be the most important person, right?
Yeah, yeah, literally.
Like I have text message notifications. All the other apps don't have notifications.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I'm like,
good.
I'm gonna choose when these devices, and they'll like every time I open them, they're like, "Don't you want to turn on notification?" I'm like, "No, I don't."
Yeah, they try to that little red circle, something about it.
Dude, I hate it. Like I have to clean up everything otherwise. But maybe that's just me being an engineer because that I need things to be clean.
No, I'm the same way. I hate seeing it. Like even now, like my email has it, but I know some like
Yeah, I'm the same way right now with my emails too. Because I'm like, if I click away, I'm gonna forget that I needed to go do something with that email.
yeah.
Um,
Nuts.
I think honestly too, if you're a young person who's driven, like thinking about the effect alcohol has on you is highly recommended. Or
Yeah.
like, what is the benefit? Because like you could still enjoy the party or be in social environments without alcohol. I
Yes,
promise
and
you.
man, I promise. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is a little. It's awkward at first because like it's like I'm the only sober person here. People are offering me drinks. I'm saying no. Do they think I'm a dick? Like,
Yeah.
but like even now, like I like to dance. I ain't gonna. I got a little something, you know. So it was like when I got sober, it's like, man, I kind of care what these people think, and then it's like, no, these people are fucked up. Like we're all just here. We're all here to have a good time right now. So just have a good time, you know. And so
Yeah.
it's and that comes into like, okay, the social anxiety. It's like combating that, and it's good. It's good that you don't combat that with liquor because that false sense of courage, like it's not good because you don't have it when you're sober. You don't have it. You have to build on it when you're sober, and it's kind of nice. I mean, not for everybody, but for me, it was like I did not have it.
I
So
don't know.
now I do.
You just
So
gotta be uncomfortable with the uncomfortable, man. Like
yeah,
you just gotta embrace it. Like you're gonna be silly and you're gonna be like Bambi for a little while, but then once once you get the
yeah,
groove or whatever, I don't know. Like that's part of what it is like when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. It's like you just gotta shoot your shot and be ready to eat a whole bunch of shit sandwiches.
yeah. Yeah, because like, failure and looking bad is just, like, a part of life, like, but it's also I heard a quote, man, and it sits with me forever. It was like, "How selfish of you to think that this person is just worried about you all day." It is like, I don't know where I heard it, but when I heard that, I was like, "You just kinda fucked me up," because it's like that, because it's crazy, because that's what happens, like, "Oh, that person must think I'm an idiot." You know,
Yeah,
when you're, like, fumbling to put your money like, after you check out, you're fumbling to, like, put your money in your wallet, and it's like, "This person probably thinks I'm slow as shit," and it's like, in reality, they don't give a fuck, like, they're gonna
right.
check out, you
And
know?
like I actually heard this recently too. Is like everyone thinks they look stupid and they think everyone else is judging them, but
Yeah.
but in reality, everyone is judging themselves, thinking everybody else is judging them. So it's
Yes.
like we're all stuck in our own little worlds of like judgment cycles. Like really, the only one judging you is you.
Yeah, and we're so hard on ourselves, dude. We're
So
so
hard on ourselves.
yeah, so that's just that's one thing I've learned, like, because failure is just a part of life, and you don't always look the best, like,
Yeah.
this is part of life.
For me, it's stoicism, man. I love stoic philosophy. That stuff is
Yeah.
like anything written by Ryan Holiday is totally worth reading because it's just how do you deal with anything negative? Like, like you said earlier, it's like there's gonna be bumps in the road or rough seas ahead. Like you can't predict it. And like, yeah, it would be dope if people would never have anything bad happen to them, but well,
Yeah.
welcome to life.
Yeah. Yeah. I
What
just
can you do?
I tell my friends, like, "Man, just be careful how you speak to yourself," like, even me, like, if I make a mistake, I don't be like, "Damn, I'm stupid," like, I don't do that. I don't do that. It's like, I'm only human. I made a mistake, but I learned how to fix it. This is what I learned from it. It's like you have to, because if you're not nice to yourself, no one else is gonna be nice to you.
Right. For
You
sure.
know,
It's like if you
I
can't I think about that a lot too. It's like if you can't have like self-respect like with your own conversations, then like how are you going to be able to translate that to other things, right? Like you said
yeah,
you had a daughter, like if you can't figure out how to deal with your own emotions and your own whatever like you got going on, like how can you hope to be a good parent or a good
Yeah,
partner or whatever, right? Like
yeah,
or just a good friend for that matter, right? Like if you don't, squash your demons, like they're just
yeah,
gonna go to your cellar, your soul, and box you until.
yeah, yeah, dude. And man, being a father is crazy because it's like I don't raise my daughter how I was raised. Not that I was raised bad or anything. Everyone's just doing the best they can. With what they know. So I don't raise my daughter how I was raised, and like I see the difference. She shines different, you
Mhm.
know. And me getting over, like I didn't want her to have the anxiety that I have when it comes to being out and stuff like that. And slowly she's getting out of that phase of being super shy, but she still has her boundaries. But it's like, how can I show her it's okay to be yourself? I have to be myself first. So yeah, that man, yeah, I love it like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I love that advice. I mean, I always think about this. I'm not a parent, but I want to be, and I always think like being a parent is the one job nobody applies for. It just happens,
Yeah,
right? Like, there's nobody that comes in the room and says, "Wait, are you prepared for this?"
yeah, and they'll
and
ask it like it's planned, and it's like, you can't really. I mean, you can say we're trying, but it's like, you can't really plan for kids.
no, like, but you also can't plan for the mindset you're gonna have as a dad
Yeah,
or parent, just categorically. But like to me, I think it's like the most important job. Nobody, you know,
yeah,
nobody really knows what it's gonna be like until it's like real time in progress, and you
yeah,
just hope to God. I where did I heard this? There was a quote about parents. It's like you're holding the bow and they're the arrow, and you're just hoping you point them in a good direction.
yeah,
And I love that idea, and it's just like, yeah, it's like you just hope that you get them on the right path and that you set good values or good whatever, and you lead by example realistically, and you're like, "All right, go out in the world and flourish."
yeah, yeah. Do your best so yeah, man, yeah, because everybody's just doing their best,
Yeah,
you know.
I
So
I I love it. So, last but not least, maybe we'll do 2. I'm looking at my list of I have so many questions that I could ask. We could keep going forever. But, if you had a billboard with a quote that you could put on it, people are driving down the highway or whatever, do you have any, like, words of wisdom you'd put on it?
oh man,
Yeah.
um,
Or a favorite quote, maybe not your own words, but
uh, I wrote one down. So it's not a quote like from someone. You had sent over like what's your favorite failure, and like um it was along the lines of like failing up, you
Okay.
know. What comes after failure is usually an improved version because you get the
Mhm.
chance to learn from your mistakes. So that I think that sits with me. Actually, no, let me change it. Change it. This one just came to mind. This is absolutely, it was like, how far would your imagination take you if money wasn't if you weren't bound to money?
Mhm.
It like the opportunities are endless when you don't have to worry about money. So it's like, and it's like, why aren't we living like that in general? Okay, yeah, it sucks to go work 9 to 5, but like, I get to put on this epic concert that touches people and ignites something in them. That's so it's like, how far would you go if money wasn't an issue? And it's like, I'd go damn far. And it's like, okay, so let's just figure out the money. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that I think that would be my one is like the imagination if you weren't bound to money. Cause man, like I don't know, that just opens it up. That opens up the world. And like my friend who's I guess he's not an acquaintance in the music business. He's a DJ and he was like, there's some days I give up, but it's like, what does that look like to my kids if they see me give up on what I want out of life? What example am I setting? I want to teach them to just go for it. And it was like, wow, yeah. And, subconsciously, it's like, yeah, I want to be a good example for them. for kids, the youth, like the youth of the future. My grandma, the youth of the future. Like my time has passed. Like I haven't given up on myself, but it's like, how can I help the youth? So it's like, if I can show them that going after their dreams of what they want out of life, like if I can show them that it's possible, then who knows what that's gonna ignite in them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I want that kid that is from the area I'm from to be like, if he can do it, I can do it. You know? So
Yeah.
whether it's
Is it
music, whether it's being an
Mhm.
astronaut or things like, so it just if he can do it, I can do it. And I would love for a kid to be like, "Hey, I saw you doing this and it made me want to go do this." And it's like, "Wow, I'm glad." Like Tupac has that quote about being the spark, and
Mm.
it's like that's all you can hope to do because how do you we all depend on each other to make this place work,
Yeah.
so why would you not want to positively affect others?
Yeah. I don't wanna keep it any more than that. I think that's a great way to end
Yeah,
this
sorry.
part. No,
Sorry.
you're good. No, you're good. I mean, we could keep going for forever, but I think that is a great way to end this part 1 of a conversation. I'm sure there'll be many, many opportunities for more conversations down the road, but
Would love
th
that.
this was awesome. I'm glad we finally made the point to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Um, and just keep up doing what you're doing. I've been telling a lot of people I've been reaching out to, like my friends who I know who are doing their own thing, and it's people who bet on themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it comes down to is like you bet on yourself, or you know, what do you hope other people might see to just go all in? Like maybe all in a smart way, right?
Yeah.
Is there's not a whole lot to like what do you lose really? Like
Yeah. I agree. The
you
best
learn
bet
a
you'll ever
lot.
make is on yourself. The best bet
Yeah.
you'll ever make is on yourself. Exactly.
Of I just love it, and, I guess the last thing to close out, though, is where can people find you on the internet? Is there a website, Instagram? I'll keep it in the show notes, but just so people have it here
Okay.
at the end of the conversation.
Yeah, so, Good Vibes in my edition is the concert promotion company that handles all of the music. It's Good Vibes underscore MI on all platforms. The website Good Vibes MI, it's currently being updated because I also run a basketball league. So I just because it's live entertainment business, so I do it all. So Good Vibes underscore MI on all platforms. My personal is James underscore Jr. Um, but yeah, I'll probably be changing that to just James. But yeah, that's me.
Sweet. Yeah, like I said, it'll be in the show notes when I put this live, so it'll be easy on the webpage and all the descriptions, but so for those of you who've made it all the way through, thank you for listening, and, James was great. Really
I
appreciate it,
appreciate
man.
you taking the time, man. Thank you for having me.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for making it this far into the podcast. I really appreciate you not only listening all the way through, but making it to hearing me at the end here. If you've made it this far, I would love to know what you have to think about this episode. Are you in music? What did we miss? And what could we improve on in the future? As always, I'm looking to get better and better at what I do here with Feeding Curiosity. And if you considered leaving a like or subscribing to the podcast, that would really help because, as always, if the bigger I get, the more I can do. It really is what it comes down to. And as a final note, you can also find more of what we do over at feedingcuriosity.net and consider subscribing or supporting over on our Patreon, which is patreon.com/feedingcuriosity. And that's all I got for you right now. Thank you all once more time for listening, and I'll see you all in the next episode. And have a great rest of your day.